Hello everybody, this is Zach Said It Again. I'm your host, Zach Cooley, and I'm honored to have with me as my guest today renowned global theater actor, Mr. David Payne. It's an honor to speak with you. Thank you very much for talking with me.
That's a pleasure.
I have been listening to bits and pieces of your work, and you are a stunning performer, sir.
Thank you.
I look forward to the opportunity of hopefully seeing your show on April the 26th. Can you tell me, just to start things off, because you've had a very interesting life before you became a stage performer, can you tell me a little bit about what your life was like growing up?
Well, I was born in London, and for most of my teenage years, I lived in London or one of the suburbs.
Mm-hmm.
From a profession point of view, I started off studying to be a structural engineer and qualified as a structural engineer in England. My job was to make buildings stand up. The architect's job was to design them. And then I got involved in youth work, in a church youth work, primarily with contemporary Christian music. I did that for a number of years. And then I was invited, when I was in my early 50s, to go to Nashville, Tennessee for a 2-year period to set up a music company, an office for a music company in Nashville, Tennessee. It was a British music company, and they wanted to establish a presence in America.
Mm-hmm.
And it was while I was there, coming near the end of that contract, I went to see, I saw a bulletin from a theatrical company in Nashville. They were putting on a play called Shadowlands, which is about C.S. Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
And it said auditions for Shadowlands, British accents help. And I thought, well, I've got a British accent, had it for a long time. So I just went along, partly for fun and partly to think, well, I might get a part, who knows? I didn't expect to do well, but because I'd never been on stage before.
Right.
And I landed the lead role of C.S. Lewis. And that's where it all started. That was when I was about 55.
So, how did you go from that reading to creating this wonderful one-man show of C.S. Lewis?
Well, I got really interested in C.S. Lewis, and so I started studying him, and then realized that the man was a unique man, very interesting. So I created. It's fine. I started thinking, I'd like to do a one-man show. And so over a period of time, I wrote An Evening with C.S. Lewis. And I had an endorsement from C.S. Lewis's stepson, Douglas Gresham, who I knew. He actually came to the Shadowlands performance in Nashville. So I got his support, and that gradually the whole thing began to take off. I thought it might last a couple of years. We're now roughly in my 25th year acting, and we've done over 1,500 performances of An Evening with C.S. Lewis.
Isn't that fantastic? And all over the world. So, with it being all over the world, how are we fortunate enough to get you in our small little theater in a town of 8,000 people doing this wonderful show?
Well, I've just done with another one-man show, my Churchill show. I've just done quite a successful run in Chicago in one of the main theatre complexes in Chicago. And that was nice. I enjoyed it. We had a good crowd, did very well. Every now and then I get the chance to do something that's smaller. And at that point, sometimes it's nice to do something that's more intimate and not the big theatre. I'm pretty flexible that way, it's just it came up. My agent asked me, did I want to do it, and I said, yeah, why not?
Well, we are so thankful because the play that you are, the play that you are going to perform, have written and are going to perform, is directed to C.S. Lewis is talking to a group of writers. So, as I am a writer, I will be feeling like you are speaking to me personally, whereas most people will not. There is a line in the play that I've noticed where you say, do you writers ever find that you accumulate papers? And that is absolutely true. My desk is always I'm a very OCD person, but my desk is always in tatters because I have papers of this project over here and sections of this project over here, very often never finishing any of them. So I can relate to a lot of things that you speak of in the play that I think maybe a lot of people won't, but I certainly do. Now, with C.S. Lewis, you said you know his stepson personally. Since you have had this fascination with C.S. Lewis, do you feel a personal connection to him, and if so, in what way?
Well, I think if you play a character that you like and you admire, I think you do feel as though there is some sort of potential friendship there. Whether we could have been friends, whether he wanted to be friends with me, if we were around at the same time. And funnily enough, as part of my youth work, I used to do lectures around the country. This is back in England, and I did a couple in Oxford when C.S. Lewis was still alive. But then although I knew him as a writer, had I known that I might be performing as C.S. Lewis, I'd have tried to seek him out. But I think we would have got on a little bit. Whenever you play a person as often as I've done, it almost feels like a friend.
Certainly. Is there a particularly, and you may not want to answer this question, you may want to let the audience decide for themselves, but is there a particular takeaway that you desire from the audience when they see your show? Anything?
The first thing, I'm an actor. These people are paying good money to be at the theatre. So the first thing I want them for them to go away with is, well, it was worth it to be here. It was worth what we paid for it, because it's part of they're there to be. They might be interested in C.S. Lewis, but they certainly don't want to come along and hear C.S. Lewis that's boring. They want to be entertained. So the first thing is, I hope they're entertained. I hope they'll find things that they can identify with. When he talks about how he felt when he lost his wife, when he talks about his relationship with his brother, when he talks about the challenges in his own life, the good, that people will be able to identify. And I think that's what is works with my play. People identify with various aspects, and so that's part of it. Probably the one I like most when people, people say it more than, it's not just every now and then, on a regular basis, is when they tell me, I feel as though I've been with C.S. Lewis. Mm-hmm. And when they tell you that means that they weren't, for their part, they were not watching an actor, they were not watching David Payne, they felt they were with the man himself, even though they know he's been dead years. Mm-hmm. And that's when you can break that barrier, and sort of things people say to me is that this is the closest I'll come to C.S. Lewis before I get to heaven. It's that sort of thing that one, it's very encouraging. I just want people to feel as though they got something out of the play. I had a woman write to me once, and this is fairly typical in different ways. She came to my play. Her husband had died 3 years ago, and the play is full of humor. C.S. Lewis had a great sense of humor. Mm-hmm. So the play is full of humor. And she said, my husband died 3 years ago, and I have found it very difficult to laugh since that. She said, but I came to your play and I could not stop laughing. And it wasn't so much she said I came to my play and it made me feel, it helped me with dealing with grief. Right. She said I could not stop laughing. And at that point, if you can do that for somebody, then you've won. You've achieved an awful lot.
Yes, definitely. Obviously, with your years of portraying C.S. Lewis, you've learned a lot from him. What do you think is the greatest lesson you've learned from him?
I think things like, being generous. He was a very generous man. Mm-hmm. Gave all his book royalties away. He was a man who didn't take fame seriously. Both he and Tolkien, who were great friends, they both were amused at their own fame, and in many ways, he was a very humble man, and a man down to earth. He didn't dress well many times, and he wasn't materialistic in any way, shape, or form. If he needed to buy a sofa or whatever, he would walk into a store and see a sofa, probably come across the first sofa and buy it because he couldn't be bothered to go looking around. All he wanted was something that would work. Right. So it's that sort of thing that you think, these men are down to earth. Yeah, they might be Oxford or Cambridge professors, but they're down to earth. They don't believe their own myth and all that business.
Right. Now, I would like to ask you an unrelated question, if I may, because I'm a music and entertainment business nut. When you worked in the music business, if you are able to share, who were some of the people in the music business that you worked with?
I worked in specialised. It was contemporary Christian music. So I didn't work with well-known artists. Every now and then I came into contact with them, but no, I didn't work with them. I worked. Do you know Cliff Richard?
Cliff Richard, yes.
I did tours with Cliff Richard. So he was England's answer to Elvis Presley.
Right.
He's still, he's in his 80s now, and has recently done a tour in England. Well, his tours always sell out. He's just a very good artist.
Right.
So I had the privilege of working with him on a number of occasions. Yeah.
Contemporary Christian artists, did you work with like Keith Green or people like that?
Well, I did work with Keith Green, Barry Maguire.
Right.
I worked with from New Christy Minstrels. I worked with him. I worked with a guy called Larry Norman. So we brought some American artists over to England.
Okay.
And yeah, so I worked with a couple of people that other people would know. Yeah.
Very nice, very nice. Well, it has been a pleasure to talk with you.
I've enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Have you spent much time in Wytheville? Do you know much about this area, Southwest Virginia?
My wife and I once spent a night in Wytheville. Can you believe? We were on our way to Richmond for a show, and we decided to break the journey at Wytheville, and we stayed there once. And that's all I know about Wytheville, other than whenever I've gone up to see friends in Princeton, it's taken me through Wytheville.
Right. Wytheville is the halfway point between Florida and the Great Lakes. And this is the first time that we've had a venue of this nature. It was a movie house. It was built as a vaudeville house, actually, where you'll be playing. And it was a movie house for 80 years, and then it was closed for 20 years, and now it's back and restored as this live venue. So we're very fortunate to have it, and very fortunate to have you here with us.
Well, I'm looking forward to it, and it's going to be the last. My agent does the bulk of my tours, and this came up at the end of the tour that he has arranged, and I said, "Oh well, we're here. We'll do it."
Great. Well, we're very fortunate. That is our benefit and our reward in that regard.
Well, I'm happy to do it. Look forward to it.
Well, it's been wonderful talking with you. I hope that I have a chance to see the show and maybe to say hello to you after the show.
I'd love to say hello afterwards if you're around.
Yeah, I would be honored. Yes, indeed.
Oh, okay. Well, lovely to talk to you.
Thank you very much for your time. May I ask you where I'm talking to you from now, or do you take residence in England?
We're just leaving St. Louis. We did some shows in St. Louis this past weekend. We're on our way to Nashville, and then I'm going up to Indianapolis.
Very good. So, do you reside in the United States?
Yes and no. We spend half our time in the U.S., but we're mostly touring, and half our time in England where we don't tour.
Wonderful. And you've been doing this 25 years. If I'm doing my math correct, would that make you 80 years old?
Yeah, 80. I'm 82 in June.
That is fantastic, and you're still able to tour the country. That is fantastic. It works. I always have support from others, so I can do it. How long I will continue to do it? Oh, who knows? When you get to 82, anything can happen. So, exactly. My father's 82, so I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, so we will see.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming to Wytheville. It's been a pleasure to talk to you, and I hope I do this story to your liking, sir.
Okay, well, I look forward to getting it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.